Okay, hello and welcome to another God matchup 1v1. Today we have Chulainn versus Odin, two very popular warriors in the solo lane currently. Odin has definitely been seen play in the meta more recently. He's come into the meta more recently. Before he was a bit of a not really a great god, but he's back to his strengths. And Chulainn is Chulainn, so he's always there. So let's have some of our nice ability breakdowns. Odin 3 is knocked up to a Chulainn, so that's his charged spear attack. I think it's Gungun's Might, I think. And another way of countering ults is that Chulainn can leap outside. For Odin ult, obviously this will damage Chulainn. I think it's 250 base damage, and I think it goes up a little bit at max level. I don't remember. I don't play Odin enough. And the difficulty is with this matchup is the kits don't really counter each other. They kind of both just exist in a vacuum with each other in the solo lane. But both will provide anti-heal. You know, Chulainn on is one, Odin is ult. But Odin is the far better option because it is all healing that's reduced, not just like 20%, you know? It's all healing. So Odin's better if they have an Afro or a Hell or something like that. Odin is the better option for you if you're going for the anti-heal. Bird Bomb deals more damage than Chulainn mid to late game. Bird Bomb really starts hurting with like a Sundering Axe and stuff like that. It probably doesn't deal more damage. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit there, but it just really hurts. And it comes off cooldown so quickly that you can keep using it. You know, you get the picture. And yeah, neither get really hard counters each other, yet they are strong against each other, which I think is how you really want gods to be. So we have a build breakdown as well. Odin really likes the Breastplate of Valor due to its like cooldown reduction for his Bird Bomb, and he loves Mystical Mail, gives him a lot of damage. Chulainn obviously like Mystical Mail too, but it's like he prefers like another item such as a shield, so maybe a Berserkers if you're going currently. Also, I don't know if you necessarily go Berserkers on Chulainn, but like a Void Shield's always nice. I don't know if you go Glad or Shifters anymore on him. I haven't kept up to date with the Chulainn meta. I'm gonna have to watch another video, but both work well with Talisman and Pestilence. And now Bulwark of Hope, which has just been buffed, which I do believe will be in the solo meta. Another item that might be going into the solo meta is Blackthorn Hammer. Feels really good on Odin. I haven't tried it on Chulainn, but it probably would feel pretty nice on Chulainn as well. If you don't know what that does, is if you're above half mana, it gives you 10% cooldown reduction. If you're below 50%, it gives you MP5, I do believe. Both start with Rangers and have the Warriors Axe as preferred start. We both could have gone Animosity with like the past Benevolence matter, but there's no reason to now with the changes. And in the meta, they fulfill the same kind of thing. We're being tanky with damage, and there's a contrast here to like Bologna, which is more bruiser, where you're more damage than tank. They're more tank than damage. Especially in their build, they don't build an outright damage item. Like Bologna will build like I don't know, a Toxic Blade, you know, something that doesn't give you any prots, or maybe like a Frostbound if you're that way inclined. Although it did just get nerfed, and I didn't build it anyway. I don't think anyone built that anyway. Laning phase, Chulainn will be very dominant. By the way, this is the damage for the ults for Chulainn. I realised there was no context to that, but he will just be dominant due to his high damage output, and he has shorter cooldowns. The shield for Odin is going to be on such a long cooldown, he can't reliably use that to sustain. His leap's on such a high cooldown. You know, you get the picture. So at this point in the game, Chulainn will be very strong. This is specifically early laning phase, because Odin's going to struggle to clear the wave. He's going to struggle to deal damage. He's going to struggle to, you know, like this is the stage of the game where Odin really struggles. Early game, like pre-level 6, I want to say, because level 6 he starts being able to one-shot the archer minions. He struggles. But if you can get up to that point without being killed, which is actually surprisingly hard, Odin will feel good. But Odin's thing for the laning phase is he just needs to survive. It's very unlikely you're going to have pressure in lane. Odin's kind of, if I was to describe it, it's a bit like Chulainn. You don't really have lane pressure, but you will. I mean, unless you get an early kill, obviously, then you will have lane pressure. But it's like if you most games you're not going to have lane pressure, so you just need to try and limit how far behind you get. So not dying, not being out farmed. But also on Odin, you can definitely out rotate the enemy, and most of the time you'll just get killed because of your ult. But on the other hand, for Chulainn, you do need to try and save your leap for Odin ult when it comes up. Obviously you got to keep in track in your mind. Okay, it's got a 90-second cooldown. Okay, but it's actually probably going to be about like 70 because he's got this much CC. So not CDR. So it's like, okay, let me just go over there, and he's got ult. Okay, so I need to save my leap here, and blues come up. His jungler's probably here. So I really need to watch my leap, make sure I don't use it, and just make sure I don't enrage as well. Because if you're enraged, typically when I'm playing Odin versus Chulainn, I wait for the Chulainn to enrage before I use my cage, because he has no way of getting out of it. He doesn't have that high attack speed either, so it's not like he can get out of it super quick. Enrage form will win Chulainn the early game, but during the mid phase it'll be quite hard to kill Odin due to a short shield cooldown after like breastplate and maybe a few other items, and maybe another item that he uses. It gets down to 6.6 seconds, and that's like both of his leap as well. But in the mid the phase, his leap won't be on that short cooldown because leap's typically when you level later. So yeah, it's just gonna be hard to kill him. So you really need to win your early game. You need to get ahead. In the team fight phase, Odin excels due to his big ult, being able to zone, anti-heal, easily dive the backline. Like he can take the 1v1 and he'll be able to kill it, but it'll take him a long time because of his. But like he doesn't have super high damage like a Chulainn does. But he usually gets thorns. Bird Bomb obviously will hurt. His 3 will hurt as well. He's going to do damage, especially with Sundering X now as well. He's going to do damage, but he's not going to be doing as much as like Chulainn or Bologna. He's not going to like one-shot people. He's going to be tickling them down, chasing them out, making infinite space for his team. Obviously, Chulainn's still strong at this point. He never really falls off in the game, but Odin dominates these team fights because of his ult and his kit, and it's just how much he can do with that. Your 3 can help your ADC if you're close to your ADC. Obviously, if they're going the Silver Branch build, because you want Silver Branch, you want more stacks. Odin's 3 gives you attack speed on the first pulse, so that obviously helps. He survives for longer due to cooldowns and build path. Like obviously, he's a bit more tanky than Chulainn. Chulainn goes out with like a couple of bruiser items, but he still provides super high damage and high CC. So I really, this is his ult here. This is Odin ult. So like 400. Oh my! Why did I get 250 from? It's like not even his third. Anyway, 400 for his ult max rank. All healing reduction, gives you stacks in its passive. That gives you more power. Slows them after they jump out. It's big as well. Lasts for a while. It's just a really good ult. It forces either an active out of someone. Even just picking Odin, usually forces someone to go Phantom Veil, which means they're not getting a blink or a beads or a horrific or something else. They're forfeiting one of their actives, which is it's good in of itself, So obviously Odin's strong at this point. And in the objective/sieging phase, Odin ult can keep the enemy away from objectives if used correctly. If you wait out their leap and stuff like that, or if you force out their leap, I should say, then you can just cage them, and then they're not going to be able to get your cage. Not going to have an impact on the objective. Or you can stun and create space for the ADC in the mid. He can do all that really well, and he can just can maybe even just kill someone outright because it's Odin who does a lot of damage. Chulainn, on the other hand, creates damage space just by damaging people. He hasn't got a physical barrel like Odin. Obviously, he has a root and a stun and a knock up that will do damage and will do their job of CCing the enemy away from the objective. But he's not as good at it as Odin. Odin is far probably the best zoning in the game. Maybe ESET or something. I don't know. I'm thinking off the top of my head. I might be wrong. Probably am wrong. Usually am. While Chulainn is strong, Odin is stronger in this area, and he really applies himself well to sieges and objectives. Just because he can just go behind the Phoenix and survive there for like 10 minutes, and give his ADC all the time in the world to do the Phoenix or tank the Phoenix for a really long time, or just be able to create all the space that you need if you let Odin get to this point in the game. And that comes swiftly onto the conclusion, which is Chulainn needs to build his lead in the early game. It is imperative if you're playing Chulainn, you kill the Odin in the early game, and you get 2-3 levels ahead. 1's probably not enough, 2 is probably not enough, 3 is probably what you need, because you really just don't want to let him get back into the game. You want him to stay stuck in the mid game, You don't want to ever let him get to the late game, because in the late game he'll just carry. Not even because necessarily Odin's good and the Odin's killing everyone. It's just because he's creating so much space, he's doing so much for his team just by existing, that he carries those fights. But they're both strong solo lane picks. Obviously, Chulainn's never going to be bad and never going to be a throw pick against Odin. And Odin's not going to be a throw pick against Chulainn. But Odin right now is currently stronger, which is hard to say because I love Chulainn, but Odin is currently the stronger pick. But obviously, only one person can have Odin in ranked. So you're going to pick Chulainn. Chulainn's fine. I maybe wouldn't pick Chulainn. I maybe would pick someone slightly worse than Chulainn that's better against Odin. I'll get back to you on that in another video, probably, when I think about it more, because Chulainn might be a really good strong pick. I haven't really thought about it. I kind of do these off on a whim, what I think at the time. So some of the things I might say is wrong, but I'm more than happy to learn and improve these videos going forward. So I hope you've learned something. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've had a good day. I hope you continue to have a good day. Or if you're having a bad day, I hope you start to have a good day. And I'll catch you in the next video. If you have a god that you want to suggest for me to play against Chulainn, because right now I'm doing Chulainn only, then leave a comment below and I'll get to it. So